After sentencing Eric Dalton to 38 years without the possibility of parole, Judge Harold West believed he had closed one of the darkest chapters of his judicial career. The courtroom had been silenced by the weight of truth. The victims had received justice, and the system, battered though it was, had done what it was designed to do. But something lingered, a shadow, a whisper Eric had left behind as he was led from the courtroom in cuffs. "You think this ends with me? There are others. I'm just the one who got caught." Those words echoed louder than the verdict. For weeks, Judge West tried to forget them. He returned to his routine, balancing the burden of sentencing with the compassion demanded by his position. But nothing felt the same. Every new case carried an invisible fog. Every inmate's face seemed to flicker with the same smug expression Eric had worn. Then came the envelope. No return address. No stamp. Just a manila folder slipped under the door of his office late one evening. Inside, a flash drive and a single note: "Watch, then choose." Against his better judgment, West locked his door, inserted the flash drive into his secure laptop, and held his breath. The screen flickered. The video was grainy, taken from inside another correctional facility, Greystone Women's Penitentiary, hundreds of miles away. It showed a young woman, inmate #447B, pacing a cell block with cold precision. The footage fast-forwarded, showing her threatening other inmates, coercing one into harming herself, and whispering things to guards that made them physically recoil. Like Eric Dalton, she too seemed to rule her environment with a sinister calm. The final clip was a conversation, recorded from a security cam without audio, but the body language was unmistakable. The woman handed something to another inmate, what looked like a folded piece of paper. The receiving inmate froze after reading it. Seconds later, she began screaming for help, clawing at the walls like she'd seen something unspeakable. The clip ended with static. Judge West leaned back in his chair, chilled to the core. Was this what Eric meant? Was this woman connected to him somehow? He called in a favor from a federal contact, someone he trusted from his early days as a prosecutor. Within hours, he had a name: Maya Trent, age 24. Arrested for aggravated assault and suspected involvement in 3 unsolved disappearances. Pleaded down to a lesser charge. Currently serving 5 years. The plea deal had been quietly accepted by another judge. The pattern was disturbingly familiar. Maya, like Eric, had received a deal far too generous for her profile. And like Eric, she was dangerous. West began digging. He reviewed court transcripts, jail incident reports, and psychological evaluations. Most were sanitized, but buried in the footnotes of a correctional report was something horrifying. Maya had been transferred to solitary 3 times in the past year for influencing other inmates toward violent group behavior. A psychologist had written a red flag note that simply said, "She leads. Others follow, not out of loyalty, but fear." More troubling still, Judge West found cross-references in phone call logs between Greystone and county jails. Calls made from Eric Dalton's block to an unknown number were traced to a prepaid burner phone. That phone had received texts just days before Maya was first arrested. The connection was thin, but real. 2 inmates, 2 jails, 2 plea deals, and 1 unspoken link. Haunted by what he'd uncovered, West decided to visit Maya himself. Not officially, judges weren't supposed to investigate cases. But he arranged a meeting under the guise of educational outreach. When he walked into the visitation room at Greystone, Maya was already seated, hands folded, eyes sharp. She looked nothing like the broken inmates he usually saw. Her stare didn't waver. "You're not here for outreach," she said before he could speak. "No," West replied. "I saw the footage." Maya smiled slowly. "Then you understand. We don't beg for power. We inherit it. I didn't start this. I was chosen." "By who?" he asked. "You'll find out," she whispered, leaning in. "You already are." Before he could ask another question, a guard tapped the window and ended the meeting. Maya stood and, as she was led away, turned back and said, Eric was just noise. On the signal, Judge West returned to his chambers shaken. That night, a second envelope arrived, this time with coordinates and a single sentence. Check the basement. Graywood County Jail. Cell Block D. He knew the risks. He knew this wasn't protocol. But something bigger was happening, and it was being hidden under layers of bureaucracy, silence, and fear. He drove 2 hours to Graywood the next morning and requested access as part of a judicial audit. The warden hesitated, clearly nervous, but couldn't refuse a sitting judge. Cell Block D was quiet. Too quiet. The lower levels had been closed off after a fire a decade earlier, but the access keycards still worked. West walked down the narrow stairwell into the darkness below. The basement was cold. Dust swirled in the air. And then he saw it. An old storage room. Door ajar, lights flickering. Inside were dozens of boxes marked Evidence Hold, Classified. He opened the first box. Photographs. Hundreds. Inmates from different facilities, years apart. All with similar behaviors. Charisma, violence, loyalty from others. In each box, a pattern emerged. The same symbols scrawled on cell walls. The same words appearing in different handwriting. The silence knows. In the final box was a file labeled Project Meridian. It detailed a now-defunct government psychological experiment targeting inmates with high manipulative traits, recruiting them, testing them, grooming them. Some were released. Others imprisoned with plea deals designed to track how they influenced jail populations. It was supposed to have ended. But clearly, it hadn't. Judge West realized, with growing horror, that the justice system hadn't just failed, it had been used. These plea deals weren't just mistakes. They were placements. Seeds planted to see what would grow in the dark. Eric and Maya weren't anomalies. They were experiments. And someone, somewhere, was still watching. He took the files and left. But he didn't sleep that night. The deeper he went, the more tangled the web became. Each name in the file led to another inmate, another incident, another plea. Victims were collateral damage. Guards who asked questions were reassigned or disappeared from records. And still, in his dreams, he heard Maya's voice. You already are. The next day, Judge West received a final message. Handwritten, left on his car windshield. One more trial, Judge. This time it's yours.